One thing we've forgotten to do in the previous video is we've forgotten to include actually jQuery file in the footer as well. So if we just open our JS folder, select our jQuery file, and obviously replace the name here. Okay, so we've got our jQuery and our functions file included. The functions file hasn't got any code yet. We will work with this file a little bit later on once we have our CSS sorted out. So now if we preview our page, as you can see, our page, it displays just plain text, really. Links on a normal default UL list, unordered list. So if we open our CSS folder and the file called core.css, and if we start with the white character, star, and margin set to 0, padding set to 0 as well, then border, we don't want any, outline, none as well, text decoration, we're going to set to none, and line height, if we specify the default as 21 pixels. Okay, next we're going to work with body tag. For the body tag, first text align to the left. Oh, sorry, not left. It's going to be center because we want our navigation to be centered. Then we have padding of 20 from the top and the bottom and 0 on left and right hand side. Then we've got font family, which will be Arial, Verdana, and sans serif. Okay, then we have font size, which will keep as 12 pixels. Okay, so that's our body tag. Now our wrapper, div, and wrapper will have width of 800 pixels. Obviously, you have to create the dimensions of whatever page size you're gonna have and all sorts of things. So text align, in this case, is going to be aligning to the left. Then we have margin, 0 from the top and the bottom, and outer on the left and right. Then we have our MNV navigation. Okay, width will be 100%, which in this case will equal actually 800 pixels, but if we increase the width of the wrapper, then obviously this would automatically apply to our navigation as well. Then height, we want 36 pixels, and background color of 212121, which is very dark gray, nearly black. Then we have our MNV LI and MNV LIA, float to the left, and display block. Okay, next thing will be just a tag from our main navigation, and this one will have height of 29 pixels and padding of 7 from the top, 20 from the right, 0 from the bottom, and 20 from the left. Then we have width of 120 pixels. As you can see, we've got padding 20 on the left, on the right, and on the left, which means 40 plus 120. In total, it's going to be 160. 160 times 5 buttons. It's obviously equal 800 pixels. So that's how we actually divide the whole 800 pixels to make sure that the 5 buttons are distributed nicely, actually. Okay, so we've got our width 120, and the last thing is the color of the text, which will be white. Now that we have definition for this one, if we create a definition for the active button, which is li.act and a, and then the same thing, mnv li.act a colon hover, and we want the color to be a nice yellow color, which is EBE707. Okay, next will be definition for the li tag, mnv li its own, which will have position relative and width of 160 pixels. Okay, now that we have this one, let's go to our inside UL tag, which is mnv liul, which is our drop-down menu basically. Background of this one we want to be dark gray, not as dark as the main navigation, which is 666. Position will be absolute. From the top, 36 pixels, which is the height of our main navigation, and from the left we want 0. Then we have border left, solid 1 pixel, 212121. And if we copy this whole thing, border right and bottom, so just change left to right and the bottom. Okay, so we have our border applied. That's okay. Now a few more things. mnv li.act ul lia, which means if we have a button active in the main navigation but not in the sub navigation, then we have to make sure that a few things are working differently. Okay, and then we have ul. Let's remove this act ul li and mnv ul li ul lia. Okay, so basically all A and li tags inside of the sub navigation, whether the main navigation is active or not. And we're going to apply the width of 100 and to 20. It's actually exactly the same as it was initially, so we don't really need this. Then we have clear both and color FFF, which is a white one. Okay, the last thing, if we create mnv liul li dot act dot a tagged and mnv liul li act a hover, which is active button for the sub navigation. Now the color we want exactly the same as the one in the main navigation, which has status active. Okay, now if we go to our browser, if we refresh the page, you can see our navigation is now displayed. If we click on any of the buttons, obviously we don't see any active navigation because we didn't create the PHP function which makes our button active, and we also didn't create any function inside of the functions.js file which would trigger some of the functionality of jQuery to animate everything. Okay, so our navigation is ready. Now in the next video we're going to have a look at creating the PHP function to make our button active, and in the following video we'll have a look at how to actually use jQuery to make this drop down menu working.